I've got 5 minutes. So. here. Do I have to unmute this thing probably? How do I work this device?
One of them's on.
It appears to be on. Can anybody hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, higher up there. What about now?
No.
Oh. Okay, there we go. All right. So, good day and welcome to today's worship service. We're grateful that you are here with us. My name is Troy. I am the service coordinator for today here at All Souls Church, where our mission is to seek truth, practice love, and celebrate life. Whether you are joining us for the first time or you've been a member for a long time, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known or not known, or whatever your heritage, you are welcome here. Whatever questions you hold, whatever truths you seek, whatever sorrows you have known, whatever joy has filled your heart, whoever you are and whomever you love, whatever your legal status or wherever you were born, you are welcome here. And we'll just go over to a few announcements for today. So I call your attention to the program. It has the announcements in it. I've been asked to give a big thanks to everybody who brings snacks for the fellowship time. Alan notes that your generosity adds enjoyment to the time together. If 2 or 3 people would volunteer to help making coffee, we wouldn't need to rely so heavily on any one person. And of course, helping clean up is always appreciated. He also asks me to make note that the flowers here by the podium, if you would, are from John Hutchinson's Ceremony of Remembrance. He was a longtime member. And let's see, Tuesday, November 11th at 7, we have the monthly meeting of the church board. Anybody is welcome to attend that would like to show up. Wednesday, 5 o'clock at First Congregational Church. They have the OWL introduction for middle schoolers and their parents. It's Our Whole Lives. It's just a program on relationships and sexuality. Saturday, November 15th from 10 to 12 at the Center of New Americans, LSS, Lutheran Social Services, is going to be providing warm welcomes and greeter training for individuals who want to help create a safe and accepting environment. And then mark your calendars for the upcoming Coping Cafe on Sunday, November 23rd at 10. Instead of our normal service, we will support and learn from one another around tables, coffee house style, facilitated by Sandrine Pelaz and Alan. All right. And then we can go ahead and start with the prelude. Did I miss one? Oh, other announcements, but of course, yeah.
Always got something to say. Good morning, everyone. I'm Liz, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up yesterday and worked around the church, especially those 3 boys in the back. They're awesome. They were really helpful. And we also have a new bulletin board downstairs, so if you've got a book recommendation or if you need some help with something, it's a great new bulletin board, so please feel free, movie recommendations, all of that. So that's downstairs.
Ian Hapke. I just want to wish to let everybody know that Friday, November 14th, is World Diabetes Day. This month of November is all about people with diabetes, and for Friday, November 14th, is about everybody who in the world who all have diabetes of all kinds. All right, just want to let you know. And you wear blue, and you wear a little dot of red to indicate that there's people out there that has diabetes. Thank you.
Any other announcements? We can go ahead and start the prelude. All right, and we'll go ahead and turn to page 455 for our chalice lighting. Harper, would you like to come up and help me? Okie dokie. You get to use the Zappy lighter. It's pretty cool. If it works. Okay. Go ahead. Each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. Perfect. Thank you, Harper. Go have a lovely seat. All right, and then our opening song is 273 in your gray book. And then our first reading will be 572 in the gray book. And if I may get there. I will go ahead and read the standard text if you would like to read the italics. How shall I enter the Eternal's presence? Would the Eternal care for rams in thousands, or for oil flowing in myriad streams? But to be just and kind. All right. And it looks like we're all ready for the story for all ages. I did not bring a book, so I was underprepared. I'm hosting people this weekend. It's been quite the ordeal. So Harper picked a book for us. I don't know how terribly relevant it is. I guess we'll see. So if we have any kids that would like to come on up for the book, otherwise I will just read. So. It's called The Never-Ending Greenness by Neil Waldman.
A little louder, please.
Never-Ending Greenness by Neil Waldman. It looks like there's quite a bit of text in this one, so we may only end up going through a few pages. But I was born many years ago in a city called Vilna. I remember my papa's bakery, all filled with wonderful smells. I remember the synagogue and the great library, but mostly I remember the trees. Green in summer, bare in winter, they lined the streets like friendly old men stretching their arms towards the sun-filled skies. I remember the miracle of early spring, their branches slowly filling with buds, then tiny yellowish feathers, and finally full green leaves. But then the war came. The soldiers marched into our neighborhood. They told us we had to leave our homes, leave our homes, and forced us into a place called the ghetto. Papa found us a small room in the corner of a crowded, dark apartment. We soon grew hungry and spent our days searching for food. After a while, we even began looking in garbage cans. That spring, there was no grain anywhere. As strange as it may seem to you, the people had eaten all the grass and even the weeds. What remained was a world of stone and mud, crisscrossed by brown puddled streets where skinny, puffy-eyed people drifted like ghosts. Papa told us we had to try to escape. Late one night, we tiptoed down the back alleyways and climbed over the ghetto wall. We ran and ran to the forests outside Vilna, and as I lay hidden beneath the branches of an ancient oak, I began to cry. "Please protect us," I whispered, looking up at the sheltering leaves. In the weeks and months that followed, we crept from hiding place to hiding place until finally the war ended. We boarded a large ship crammed full of people and sailed to our new home in a place called Eretz Yisrael. We were given a little wooden house on a dusty hill where we would start our new lives, but there was war here too. Papa was forced to join the army, and Mama and I were left at home by ourselves. We often heard the explosion of guns in the distance. At night, the sky would flicker with bursting bombs that we called lightning. I usually slept in Mama's bed. Mama and I spent many days hiking through the hills and valleys around our village. We discovered some amazing places. A crusader's castle where we journeyed by candlelight through a secret passageway beneath the stone floor. A hidden spring of icy water where we watched silently as 6 gazelles came to drink. And an ancient city of caves carved into a hillside where we found some pieces of broken pottery and a Roman coin. Then one spring morning, we came upon a newborn tree growing out from beneath some rocks. "Look at this," Mama said, touching the shiny leaves. "It's a shame these little trees rarely survive the summer." "Let's dig it up and save its life," I insisted. And so we did. We planted it outside my bedroom window and gave it a thorough soak-in. Each morning, I would run to my window to make sure that my little tree was still there. And every evening I would slowly pour a glass of water over it, helping it to survive the dry season. In the fall, when the rains began, my tree was still alive. And in the springtime, 3 new branches appeared, filled with tiny, sparkling leaves. I smiled every time I looked at my tree. It was already twice as big as it was when I planted it. Then one night I had a dream. Our house was surrounded by a forest of swaying trees. As I stood at my window, 2 golden birds swooped down from the sky and carried me back up with them. As far as I could see in every direction, the earth was covered with a thick forest carpet. Then the birds began humming a beautiful melody, and the clouds, the wind, and the trees joined in. Like 1,000 gentle flutes, they filled the air with vibrations of wonder. I broke free from the golden birds and soared high above them like an eagle. Picked the longest book in the library, didn't you? I awoke with my heart pounding. I jumped into my clothes and raced into the empty hills. I walked that entire day, searching among the rocks and crevices until finally I came upon another seedling growing high on a rocky hillside. I carefully dug it up and brought it home, planting it next to my first little tree. My hand hurts from this. Can you hold this? I went out the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. By spring's end, there was a grove of 32 trees in front of our house. And when the rains began to fall in October, 24 of them were still alive. I knew I was making my dream come true. When grown-ups asked me about my trees, I told them about the magical forest in my dreams, and they smiled. They didn't take me seriously, but it didn't matter. I knew someday that all the hills would really be green. Then on a wonderful day, Papa came home. He soon found work in the village bakery and joined us in our new life. One Saturday morning, as Papa and I stood admiring my beautiful grove, I told him about my dream. Papa smiled, but not like the others. His smile made me feel proud. You know, he began, you're helping to return these hills to the way that they were thousands of years ago when forests covered our land. But many wars have been fought here, and many conquerors have stolen from the land. They cut down the forests to build the fortresses and railroads until almost all the trees were gone. Over the centuries, winter rains washed away the topsoil. With no trees and no shade, the days grew hotter and drier, and many of the animals began to disappear. Now it looks almost like a desert. Things are going to change, I whispered. As the years passed, I continued planting. My grove of trees crept slowly up the hillside, and the little tree beneath my window was now higher than the roof. In the spring, migrating storks rested in the branches. And on summer afternoons, Mama, Papa, and I sat in the cool shade in front of our house, the breeze drying the sweat from our foreheads. I think we're getting there. We're getting close. When I graduated from high school, I began working at the bakery with Papa. On evenings and weekends, I continued planting. Several friends joined me, and we began cultivating other groves in the surrounding hills. Then I began to hear that people all over the country were doing the same thing. For the past 50 years, we've been planting trees, and every year to celebrate the holiday called Tu B'Shabbat, children from all over the world send us thousands of seedlings to plant. Each year the forest spreads, covering our country with a carpet of green. The land is changing. There are more birds every year, the streams don't dry up so quickly, and the beds of mushrooms have begun to grow in the dark forest floor. Like a miracle from the Torah, a generation of newborn trees is springing up from the fallen seeds of those we planted years ago. And someday, perhaps 2 golden birds will return to carry me high above the hills, so I can peer out across the never-ending greenness and hear the song of 1,000 gentle flutes. Ooh. Okie dokie, now we can sing the children out. All right. I don't know where that part of the script is, so we're just going to go with it. In our congregation, we have found it helpful to share our various joys and concerns with each other. We do so by taking a stone, heating it up in our hands, and putting it in the bowl of water. So I'll go ahead and share one. One joy is that I'm hosting friends. One concern is that I'm hosting friends. The other joy is to just, Harper enjoys coming with me. I don't have to foist it upon her, and she likes to participate, so I enjoy that. And I would welcome anybody else that has a joy or concern to share to come up and share.
Hi, I'm JC. Yesterday, Dan and I did our first performance for the fall at the Edgewood Memory Care, and it went really well. So I'm very happy to get back to playing violin for everyone.
I'm Ann Kunze, and my grief, is, my sorrow, is that the Democrats are holding up and the government is not able to function, and this is causing terrible consequences with many businesses and lives and families, and I'm very sad that this Democratic Party is holding up the government's functioning. And so this is for that. And the joy is that President Trump's trips around the world have resulted in good business relationships with many, many nations. And so that's a great joy.
Thank you, Ann. I love you, and I'm glad you're here at the church. And I will just say the opposite, because in my heart, I celebrate the coming together of peoples, whether it be Republicans and Democrats. And I hope that we can meet and get to some of the issues that are pressing, including SNAP, that is causing great strain in our community and around our country. The poor relationships that we have with other nations, the concerns that we have for the environment. There are just so many issues. And I don't want to put blame at anybody's feet, but I do think we need to work together. So my hope is we'll get together and talk to one another and get to solving some of these pressing issues that indeed are hurting a lot of people and unnecessarily. So that's my heart's concern, and I'll put a stone in there for those who want to enjoy that. Thank you.
I like the fact that the mayor of New York City is himself a gay boy and is very much in with the LGBTQ community, and I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. I like that.
All right. We will just go ahead and take a moment of silence for any of the joys and concerns left unspoken. Okay, we can go ahead and proceed with our second song, number 86 in the Gray Book.
Thank
And then our second reading will be 599 in the Gray Book. If I can find it. All right. Why do you go to the forest in search of the divine? God lives in all and abides with you too. As fragrance dwells in a flower or reflection in a mirror, so the divine dwells inside everything. Seek, therefore, in your own heart. And now I would like to invite our very own Janet Coonsey up.
Okay, and somewhere amongst all this, I have my notes, which would be very helpful. Yeah, I gotta get through the pile here. Yeah, so just let me move a few things around here. Today I'm going to talk about the soul. And I know not everyone believes in a soul, but I ask that if you don't, you suspend your disbelief for a little while. And just think of this as just a natural part of yourself. Not anything really strange, just part of yourself. And I hope that perhaps after this talk, you'll find that the soul is something you'd like to investigate further through a meditation practice. So let's start by looking at what's inside of a person, what makes us up. I'd like to compare this to a tree. Now here's a grove of trees, and I'd like to think of that, let's look at the trees themselves, think of the trunks as individuals, and then the roots going deep down into the soil would be our ancestry. So we have connections there, and we have connections up above with our social life, our life at the moment, between all the individuals. But there's also things going on beneath the surface that may not be that obvious. And some of that's shown by the mushrooms sitting there. You might go, mushrooms? What do mushrooms and trees have to do with people? We'll get there. But first, let's look beneath the surface of the trees. Beneath the trees, there's a network of fungal threads. And these are called a mycorrhizal network, which means a fungal network. And they're usually one giant organism, a network that just helps the trees to communicate their needs to one another, so they know where the nutrients are, they help share and spread what they need throughout that network. So in the human non-physical world, or beneath our surface, and those things that we can't touch and feel, we have a correspondent in what's called the network of souls, a plane where our souls communicate with one another. And again, the soul is just a natural part of yourself that you just can't touch. And it's a level where we're truly one humanity. We're all related. And this is the level that our Native American friends understand so well with all our relations. This summer, I came across a study online about how our brains communicate. And I think this might have to do with not our fungal network, but our network of souls. Princeton researchers have discovered that the human brain emits ultra-low frequency electromagnetic waves that appear to form part of a global neural network. These signals can subtly influence other people's brains from as far as 10,000 kilometers away, raising the possibility that human consciousness is interconnected across the planet. So we're beginning to understand how this might be working, how maybe it is in our brains, it might be something within our brains, whatever it is. Maybe it's our souls that are communicating throughout the world with one another. In the tapestry of life, we are all threads intertwined, each carrying the colors of hope and resilience. These threads are down below in our network of souls, how we intertwine with one another. And when we do our joys and concerns here, often we say that the ripples go out into the wider community and share what we've just been sharing. And this illustrates how these low-frequency electromagnetic waves spread and affect others, and how they do spread out to the wider community. So there's something very subtle but real happening when we share our thoughts and prayers, maybe up to 10,000 kilometers. So let's get into the meditation side of this. If you're meditating, you're working at the mind level. You've already mastered your body, well enough at least, I hope. You've also managed the calming of your emotions too, so that then you can work at the level of your mind and start calming your mind. But it's not just calmness that we're looking at when we do our meditation, but we want to listen to what's beneath the mind, the soul. And here on the slide it says, along with the picture of our meditator, quiet the mind and the soul will speak. It's probably already been speaking, but we have to pay attention because it's pretty quiet. And meditation is not about stopping thoughts, but recognizing that we are more than our thoughts and our feelings. And again, you may have seen a type of picture like this before, of levels of being or layers of the self. Of course, we're really just all one being, so this is just kind of theoretical. But let's take a look at it. We have our physical, of course. And then there's the etheric level, or the energy level, which is, you may have heard of the chakras before, and that's kind of the interface between our physical and our non-physical self. And then beneath there, we're looking at emotions, the mind, the soul, which gives illumination. It's kind of the interface between the mind and these deeper parts of ourselves. It illuminates the thoughts of the intuitions from the spirit and the inspiration of the divine self. So they're all parts of us. So again, why do we practice calming and clearing the mind? So that we can hear the soul. And why do we want to listen to the soul? So that it can tell us the intuitions that come from our spirit. And like in our story, those people probably had those intuitions about it's time to leave. It's time to plant a tree. It's time to do different things. And why do we want to know the intuitions of the spirit? Because then we begin to understand the inspiration that comes from the divine self. And that's that spark of divine that's in all of us. Now here's something that may seem kind of off point, but here's a cat. And this cat happens to be Orion, who was in the Men in Black movies. Does anybody remember those? It's been a while now. Well, you had the aliens come to Earth, and then you had the Men in Black who were policing them. And in one of the movies, the cat, well, not the cat, but everyone was interested in finding the universe. There was a universe that they all wanted to have, and it happened to be on Orion's belt. Well, here it is on Orion's collar. And the point was that they made in the movie that something doesn't have to be big to be important. And I would like to say that the kingdom of God, which is also the network of souls, is within us. And it doesn't have to be big. I mean, individually it's not big, but the connections that go between all of us are. But what we see within ourselves is not that big. But there is divinity within us at the deepest level of our being. and lights within us all. We want to be our best authentic selves. And here on the slide it says that meditation is a way for nourishing and blossoming the divinity within you. You want to get down deep to parts that you wouldn't regularly be in contact with unless you're really paying attention, being quiet and listening. Now, I have a story about blossoming the divinity within you. When I first met my husband, Scott, and he hasn't heard this yet, he was very outgoing, and I was kind of a wallflower. And and he said that I was a wallflower. It was a rose that needed to blossom. And he replied back that roses do need to blossom, but they shouldn't explode either. I considered him an exploding rose, somebody that was just sharing everything about himself all the time and always talking. We used to have a little wooden plaque that had a picture of a rose on it, and I had put on the back of that plaque, "A rose is meant to blossom, but not explode." We both had a lot to learn about how to express ourselves. So what's the divine trying to tell us? I think it has a plan for continuing to unfold itself, the continued evolution of the universe. I think it's had a plan up to this point, not that we could particularly understand it, but we can just understand perhaps pieces of it, and we're understanding more pieces of it all the time. So deep down inside you, what's the divine's plan for you and your part in unfolding the universe? How should you blossom? What will the soul say when you meditate? And how will it say it? Will it give you words? Symbols? Maybe some dreamlike vision? Everything that we receive in our meditation time gives us something about the divine plan, the continuing unfolding. For example, look at that shell, a seashell up there, and I believe this shows the Fibonacci sequence, which is that curve which many things in the universe show. And it says here that the Fibonacci sequence is found in nature through patterns, like the petal counts of flowers, the spirals of sunflower seeds and pine cones, the branching of trees, and the arrangements of leaves on a stem. These patterns emerge not from conscious thought, as the universe doesn't think the same way that we do, but because they represent the most efficient way for organisms to grow and arrange themselves. So here's one way that we see how the universe unfolds itself. And on the other side of the slide here, we have some cloud nebulas. And what could that teach us about ourselves? You could meditate on something like that and think about how in this church we've often said we're stardust. We're formed from the stars, same dust that the stars were formed from. And how could you ponder upon that for a while, your soul might say? What can you get from that? You never know what the soul's going to use to help you figure out things about yourself. Now here's a slide that just says how to work with the universe to create your life. And I think that's what all of us are learning to do. We work with it, the universe or the divine, to create our life. There was a saying back in the 1990s, expect the universe to cooperate. And I don't think we should just put our thoughts out there and expect that the universe is going to just bend its will to us. But we need to work with it to find out what it wants from us and what is just natural for us to unfold. We don't try to force anything upon the universe. It usually doesn't work anyway. We meditate for daily inspiration from within on how to unfold our inner spiritual self more to the outside. Who are you really deep down inside? Are there things about yourself that you don't know yet? Probably. Are there things you could do that you haven't done yet? Probably. Maybe you don't need to do anything. Just be and just show more of your inner self. And while I was thinking about that point, this thought came to my mind. Here's a Joe Harry window. This is just a way of explaining how we know ourselves and others know us. And in the one quadrant, it says open. And these are things that we know about ourselves and everybody knows about us. It's just the things that are out there, well known. Then there's the blind spot, things that other people know about us, but maybe we don't realize about ourselves. Then there's the hidden quadrant. These are the things that we keep to ourselves that other people don't see, that we're not ready to share yet. And finally, there's this unknown quadrant, containing things that neither we nor others know about ourselves. And this is the area we want to get to know, and meditation is a tool to do that, to see parts of ourselves that we just haven't realized yet. And finally, I'd like to share with you this little Hindu prayer, which I've been saying daily for about a year now in my meditation, part of my meditation time. May the energy of the divine self inspire and the light of the soul direct. May we be led from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, and from death to immortality. And that immortality is because our soul continues on as part of that network, even when our physical self is gone. At least that's what I believe, that those threads that connect us to others continue on. So may the light and the real and the immortality that are at our soul level and deeper inspire us. May we experience all these things as we meditate, for that's the only way we learn their reality.
Thank you for that. Now I have to reset up my mess here. Let's see what we got going on. All right. We can go ahead and pass around the plates for the offering. And now we can read the words to receive the offering. We give these gifts freely We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. And then we can go ahead and turn to our closing song, 184. And this one's a short one, so I believe we're going to go through it twice. And then our final reading, 531 in the grade book. Usually I have all this stuff bookmarked out in advance, but... All right. I'll go ahead and read the standard text if you would like to read the italics. Let us learn the revelation of all nature and thought, that the highest dwells within us, that the sources of nature are in our own minds. I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a higher origin for events than the will I call mine.
There is a deep power in which we exist, and whose beatitude is accessible to us.
Every moment when the individual feels invaded by it is memorable.
It comes to the lowly and simple. It comes to whosoever will put off what is foreign and proud. It comes as insight. It comes as serenity and grandeur.
The soul's health consists in the fullness of its reception.
Forever and ever, the influx of this better and more universal self is new and unsearchable.
Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one.
When it breaks through our intellect, it is genius. When it breaks through our will, it is virtue. When it flows through our affections, it is love.
That was by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And my flame keeper has disappeared to the basement, so. The chalice is extinguished, but the light
Goes with us out into the world.
then feel free to head down